Welcome to the Drama-Free Living Podcast. It's Dennis and Lisa McIntee. And Lisa, I'm super excited today because we have a particular instrument that we use with leaders. And I think what we thought would be fun is that Lisa and I want to kind of walk through what we're calling the 8 and 10 intelligences of leadership.
Right. It's the 8 intelligences that we can utilize, that we can use to increase our joy, to increase our effectiveness when we're working together for a common goal with a group of people. And this is for families. This is for your team. This is for your team. This is for the volunteer organization. This is for the board that you sit on for whatever committee. But it's any time that you're working together in a group, and there are 8 intelligences that are needed by different members within the group to effectively work together, but also to do it with joy.
And I think, Lisa, what we've discovered is people spend years and years of time and energy trying to figure out, how do I increase my leadership? What are the things my team needs? Where are some of my blind spots? And what I love about this instrument is it's really just a quick shortcut.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is for the next 4 weeks, we're going to cover these particular intelligences. And really each intelligence has 3 capabilities. But we're going to give you a special offer. And in the show notes, we're going to have a link there for you to actually get this assessment, get this instrument, and do a sort of a 360 on your leadership style, where you show up with these intelligences, and really save a lot of time and energy. So
right, because really how other people perceive you is more impactful in achieving your results than how you believe that you show up. And so if you want to have more impactful results, you need to know how other people perceive you.
I mean, Lisa, reality is a powerful tool.
That it is, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and it's like you think it's a certain way, but it could be like this false sense of reality. And a lot of leaders, they live this way. Obviously not the leaders we work with, right?
Actually it is the leaders we work with, which is why we work with them.
Right. Sometimes it's me a lot of times.
It is me. I know it's me.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first 2 this podcast, and then for the next 3 or 4 podcasts, we're going to just do a deep dive because I think it'll be super helpful. And so this first intelligence is really more about pioneering. It's kind of these people that can step out and like just start new things. And there really are 3 capabilities with this pioneering intelligence. And the good thing, Lisa, is that maybe people are super weak at it, but you can develop sort of a measure of competency.
Right. And so what's also interesting about these 8 intelligence is people typically are stronger in 2 to 4 of them, typically stronger in 4 of them.
Right.
And 2 to 4 of them they're weaker in. And their levels of strength and weakness. So I am very strong in probably 4 of them. And then there's 2 of them that I'm weaker in. And then the last 2 are I'm really weak in them, which is why I need you with me, because you're pretty much the exact opposite. And so when we work together as a team, we really embody all 8 of these. And when we work together and we don't do this push and pull of life, but we utilize all of our intelligences together, it's very powerful.
Yeah, because we're stronger together.
Yes.
And that's how people's teams are. They're stronger together. And so we want to help you be a little bit more together. And so this pioneering intelligence, one of the capabilities is this ability to kind of find opportunities. And they're really great at sort of taking challenges, and they really encourage people to take initiative. And sometimes it's by their example that people go, oh, hey, I can take initiatives too. They tend to be sometimes overly responsible. Right. And that can sort of be a shadow side that they take on more responsibility. At least, like, how many times have I said, like, hey, it's just all on me? And you go, whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
And then you kind of lay out who we have on the team and what other people are doing. But sometimes in people's minds, they think it's different than what it really is.
So these pioneering intelligence, this would be more of like the quick start type of a person. Is that correct?
Yeah. And I think these type of people, they really see so many opportunities. And what they need to realize is that, hey, you can't focus on everything.
Right.
It's this idea where, like, if everything is important, nothing is important. And really kind of coming down to, like, what are the key opportunities to sort of take advantage of. And sometimes that people that are real excitable and maybe a quick start, they'll just jump on it and go and never have any really thought about, like, hey, what does this really mean? Or we're going to say yes to this, so what are we saying no to?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so finding opportunities is one. So there's this shadow side also of like taking too much responsibility. And then another capability of people that sort of have this pioneering intelligence is they tend to stretch boundaries. So they're always pushing and they kind of think creatively about options. I know even for me, right? It's like if I have one option, that's pretty frustrating. And how many times?
You mean if you only have one option,
Right?
If you don't have multiple options,
Right? Or how many times do like we decide we're going to do something, and then I go, oh, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, and it's almost like,
are you sure you want to do that, or maybe we could do this and this instead? And I'm thinking, wait, I thought we already decided.
Yeah, and it's just like I have to have more and more options, and so I think this encourages people to reach beyond the status quo. And these type of people that kind of stretch people to get over their comfort zones. Because I think every time we go up these next levels, whatever that looks like, it's like a challenge between your comfort zone. It's like between here, this where you're at, and this next level. Comfort sometimes stands in the way, and your ability to push back discomfort and realize that we have to continue to stretch boundaries.
And so people that are pioneering are very good with feeling uncomfortable?
I think
is that what you mean?
I think in many areas, yeah. Or they're very good at like dealing with uncertainty.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right? It's like there's this uncertainty, and how do I step into it? And I think we've talked about this before. At least I talked about it with a client last week. Is that whatever you're afraid of, sort of step into that.
Okay.
Right? Do you remember our snorkeling trip years ago? Right? And we were we're getting ready to snorkel. We've never snorkeled before. We're in this boat where we can't even see land, and they introduced this thing called snoobing. Right? They floated this big tank, and they were telling us
a raft that had our air tanks on top of it.
Right. And they talked about this idea that, hey, it's just for 10 people and it's an extra upcharge, and we'll let you go 20 feet under the water.
With the whole air apparatus,
right.
whatever that is.
You can tell we're divers, right?
Yes. Yeah, and then we have these diver friends, and actually our son and his girlfriend, they're pretty serious divers, and I'm thinking they're probably just they're
laughing right now because they're like, come on, Mom and Dad. Okay. But here's what I remember about that is that as they were explaining it, I remember I looked at you and I said, gosh, that kind of freaks me out. And you said, yeah, it kind of does me too. And then you said, you know what that means.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Am I the one that said that?
Yeah, you said, we have to do this. And I'm like, oh. And it's almost this idea of
No. I think you as the pioneering person were probably the one that said, do you know what this means? It means we need to do it.
Well, I think
that would fit you better.
Probably so. But it's how we remember it, and that's my reality.
That is true.
Okay. But I think it's this idea of what are you uncertain about? And then how do you press into that uncertainty? And leaders that have this pioneering intelligence, they're just very good at helping people step into their uncertainty. And then the third capability that they have is this idea of promoting bold action. And I think they even encourage people to take action. I know when I'm talking to people or even our team or clients, I'm always like, okay, what's your very next step? What's that very next thing? Because I think once you get in motion, it creates a lot of different opportunities. But when you're just standing still and not moving, well, there's no opportunities that come your way. So almost like getting in motion perpetuates this idea of motion. And so I think they're very good at taking risk. But, I think as sometimes somebody with a pioneering intelligence, they have to know when not to take a risk. And that's where having other people in your life, and if you're just strong in just one, then you miss all these 7 other areas, all these other intelligence that can be on your team. And really, if you just have 3 capabilities, well, there's 24 that are possible, and you need some other capabilities around you. And I think that's the beauty of just having a team and building teams. And really what I love about what we do is just taking the drama out of teams. So, Lisa, you've got another intelligence you want to
another intelligence is humble. Okay. And I had to think about that word. We were just talking about it before the podcast, and I thought, I don't know that I really care for that word humble. Yeah. Because some of the synonyms of humble are tentative, timid.
We're not talking about that.
Let's see. Self-effacing, some of these different that are, I would think as a negative, but what we're talking about with the word humble would be more unpretentious, courteous, more Ordinary is a good
Or
word.
it's almost like they're just real and authentic.
Authentic is an excellent word.
And they don't have to put on this mask. And I think sometimes there's this false idea that to be a leader, you have to be a certain way, or you have to have a certain skill. And really what we want to show is that there are really 24 capabilities, 8 different intelligences. And when I think about intelligence, what I love about it is I can increase my intelligence.
Absolutely.
Right? If it's just a skill, or maybe if it's just like a talent, well, can I increase talent? I increase skill. I can grow in intelligence. And that's what I love about it. It's this idea of continuing to grow.
And also what I love about it, so these particular two that we're talking about, this pioneering and this humble, for me, this is one of my strong intelligences.
It's your superpower.
It's one of my superpowers.
Yeah.
And for you, pioneering is one of your superpowers. And in the range of these 8 intelligences, I would say humble is probably one of my top 2 or 3.
Yep.
But the interesting thing is for me, pioneering is probably maybe number 5 because I actually do step into pioneering quite a bit.
Yep, you do.
And what's also interesting is for you, probably humble as far as how you're naturally wired, it's pretty far down.
I don't like to hear that because it sounds like, gosh, you really sound arrogant. Oh, he's not really humble. But
we're saying unpretentious.
Right. Yes.
We're saying gentle. But what's very difficult is this pioneering and this humble. They're almost opposites, and it's hard to be opposite and strong.
Yeah, and that's why building a team and working with others and leaning on other people's intelligences, what they're uniquely brilliant at, and pulling from that gift that's on the inside of them, that's what makes a great team.
Absolutely. And with humble, it's very interesting because while you are not, as far as these 8 intelligences, how you're naturally wired to be a quick start or pioneering or finding opportunities or stretching boundaries, you actually are humble and you do present yourself as unpretentious.
Oh, shucks.
Because that's something that you've worked on. It's something that you've decided that you value. Yeah. And in part, it's because you see it, that's what drew you to me. You saw the humbleness or the unpretentiousness within me, and that drew you to me. And we had said this before, but it's if you spot it, you got it. So if you notice that, if you recognize that in someone else, then that's actually something that you do have within you, and you can develop it and you can strengthen it and you can grow in that. And that's super valuable.
Yeah. So remember, if you spot it, you got it. And so as we're talking about this, I think it's important for people to realize that, I might not be good at this. Or listen, if you recognize it, it means you have a piece of it and you can grow it.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we want to do, with the next couple episodes is list out these different capabilities within each intelligence and then have people step back and go, okay, how do I improve that? Mm-hmm. How do I make an upgrade on that particular capability?
And the psychosometric tool that we have that we can utilize helps you see, okay, to what level, to what extent do I have each of these? And what are areas maybe that I could grow in a little bit more?
Yep.
And what are some of these strengths that these are my rockin', this is my superpower. Yeah. And how can I pull it down just a little bit so I don't overuse it? And as a result, maybe snowplow over people.
Yeah, because I think every strength or every weakness is a strength overextended. Mm-hmm. And when we're overextended, it actually becomes a constraining factor.
Mm-hmm. So humbleness, unpretentious, maintaining composure.
This is one of the capabilities.
One of the capabilities of humbleness, of unpretentiousness, would be maintaining composure. So for me, it's pretty easy for me. I can maintain composure easily. Doesn't really matter what happens. I can step in, I can maintain composure, which is really great skill to have as a parent because it helps if you can maintain your composure. The downside of this capability is that you can mask it. You can mask what's going on, and it produces a lack of vulnerability or a lack of transparency.
Yeah, well, I think people with this particular capability that do it well, they are able to de-escalate situations. And I think that's a real superpower. And it's almost this calm under pressure, or calm even though you're frustrated, calm even though you're angry. And you're almost able to go to that place of logic and make really great decisions.
And then another capability would be showing modesty.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So I think modesty is also one of those things that kind of has a negative connotation.
But it's great. It's a superpower.
It is a superpower. And really, truly, what showing modesty would be it's recognizing your limitations. In what areas, where do I need to draw the line and hand it over to someone else and say, I have done everything that I can in this and I need your help.
And it's like they say, I can't do everything. What can I do? And then who can do these other parts? And that's the value of having a great team. But it's also the value of being really secure in yourself and realizing these are the limitations, these are my gifts, and I have other gifts that I can utilize.
Absolutely. In this recognizing limitations, there's a part of that. It's the ability to recognize limitations in other people. Because you see the limitations. There's a self-awareness to it, and you see the limitations, and without judging, because it's humble and unpretentious, it's being able to see someone else's limitations, but not call them out in a negative way for it. It's just the awareness of it and knowing these people that are unpretentious, these people that can show modesty or see these limitations are great people that can spot out the different members within the group, whether it's a condo association board or a charitable organization or a family or your organization and your team and your company, to see these people have these abilities and they have these limitations.
Well, and it almost really helps people with a pioneering intelligence because they're so good at stretching boundaries that they think, okay, this person right here, I'm going to stretch their boundary. And the challenge becomes is you stretch it and then it breaks or they break. And
you don't want to go breaking people.
Right. We don't want to go breaking people. And so really helping and you just have a sixth sense of going, hey, that's just too big of a load for them to carry.
But at the same time, being able to stretch boundaries, I mean, that is something that you are very good at, and you've done with me for all the years, for all the time. You'll see a capability, you'll see a skill, and you'll want to kind of give me more responsibility in that skill. You want to give it over to me, and because I'm capable, I mean, I can do it, I accept that. And without realizing that I can only do it to a certain extent, or without realizing that while this is something I'm capable of doing, this is not something that brings me energy and joy. So if I do too much of it, it would drain me and it would burn me out.
Yeah, and I think that's where really understanding where people are at and using a tool like this that we have has been so helpful for so many people to really build the right kind of team and really have joy in that journey.
Yeah, and so then another capability of being humble or unpretentious would be being fair-minded.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that?
So being fair-minded, it's not everybody gets a trophy. It is that we want people to buy in before we start the project.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that we're going to do, getting other people's buy-in so we don't steamroller someone else. So we don't disregard the thoughts or ideas or concerns of someone else that's part of this group.
And it's really getting all of the information before you make a decision at times. And part of that buy-in is asking for other people's opinion and realizing I don't know it all and other people have expertise that I don't have.
Right.
And I believe that's a great leadership skill is to discern the expertise of other people around you and then pull from that expertise. And don't try to pull from an expertise that they don't have. If we're having marriage problems, we don't talk to our car mechanic. He has a certain expertise with our cars.
Now, he might have a great marriage. And he might have some good input.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't necessarily be the first person we would go to.
And really determining what the expertise is in others. And that's what we're talking about being fair-minded, is asking for that information.
Now, what is very interesting is when you, as a company, have a project and you want to know how you're showing up to your clients or how you're showing up in your marketing, you want to pull someone who is this humble capability, this unpretentious capability. You want to pull them on that team, on that marketing team or on that client-facing team, because they are going to be aware of how their clients, or they're going to be aware of how the people outside our organization, how we show up to them.
They're just going to feel that.
They're going to feel that. They're going to know it will be top of mind, because they do not want to come across as pretentious and boastful and steamrolling. They want to come across as open and welcoming.
And what I love about this particular intelligence in this whole idea of capability with being fair-minded is they don't allow personal bias to get in the way. Mm-hmm. And how many times do we allow our own biases to hurt our decisions? We have a certain perception of somebody, and once I have that perception, it never changes. And it really gives people grace to change, develop, grow. It's almost like don't freeze frame people, right? People that are a different place, maybe even somebody that you've met 5 or 6 years ago, and you have freeze framed them in a certain place, but you don't go back into that relationship 5 years later to the current, because maybe they've developed, maybe they've grown. And really being open to that, I think, is very powerful as a leader.
Absolutely. Another part of this being fair-minded is being able to see things from other perspectives that are not their own. So for me, for instance, I can walk into a conversation and everyone will have differing opinions.
Yeah.
And while I may not personally agree with each of their opinions or their method of doing it, I can understand where they're coming from. I understand why they're coming from that position, and I appreciate the ideas and the passion and the knowledge behind that. And because of that, I can step into a conversation and I may not necessarily know the details about it, but I can communicate on it in a deeper level other than just maybe the knowledge base.
Yeah, because I think perspective drives practice. Mm-hmm. And so when you can have this multiple perspective idea, it changes how you behave. And leaders that are fair-minded, they have this ability to have multiple perspectives. And I think sometimes this whole question, I think you just do it naturally, is, well, what's another way to look at this?
Right.
And sometimes I have a certain, just being a pioneer, intelligence, I sometimes don't always have that other perspective. And it'd be good for people that are pioneering to step back and go, hey, what's another way to look at this?
And it's good for people that are humble to see, okay, if I don't pull in someone who's pioneering, someone who finds opportunities, then we're just going to be really nice people that go nowhere.
Yeah.
We're going to be that kind neighbor that doesn't make any strides because we're so focused on other people's perspectives and not accomplishing goals, and these goals could be fantastic. If you're on the board of a charitable organization and you're all humble, you're not going to be doing a lot of action, a lot of decisions that make things better. You have to have this pioneering aspect of, hey, let's find new opportunities in order to continue to help that group, that nonprofit that you're working with, and help it grow and help those people. You have to have that aspect of pioneering. You can't all just be humble.
Yeah. And so, Lisa, we've been through 2 intelligences today, and we just want to encourage you today. You can grow in each of these. We're going to, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to go through other different intelligences, more capabilities, and really give you a snapshot of different ways that you can grow and you can develop and you can be the leader you were really designed to be, not spend all this time and energy just trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. What I love about this instrument is it gives you the roadmap for that. So Lisa, let's walk through this pioneering intelligence. It's got 3 capabilities: finding opportunities, stretching boundaries, promoting bold action.
And this humble capability or this unpretentious capability, it's maintaining composure, showing modesty, which would be more recognizing limitations, and then being fair-minded.
And so why don't you look at yourself and just take these 2 different intelligences and basically 6 different capabilities, and where do you need to develop? Where do you need to put a game plan together? And when we come back for the next podcast, we're going to go through 2 more intelligences, give some more strategies, but just start here for us, okay?
And if you are lost and you have no clue, or even if you want to learn more, contact us. We have this instrument. We've got this tool, and you can go through, and it's basically a self-assessment.
No, it's actually a 360 type assessment where you get feedback from other individuals on your behavior.
Okay, so you involve the collective group, so it's not just your perspective.
No, you get the truth. You get how you're
perceived.
You get the truth of how you're perceived.
What everyone else sees.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's going to be awesome. So, boy, my takeaway, Lisa, is I love this being fair-minded and having multiple perspectives. And I think the question I need to get better at asking myself, and I'm going to kind of work on it this week too, is like, what's another way to look at this? So, what about you? What was a big takeaway?
I think the big takeaway for me is that while pioneering and humbleness are opposites, and you highly likely they both won't be your strong points. They won't be your top 1 and 2. You have to have both of them in any group, in any organization that you're with. When you're on the journey of working together for the common goal and the common good. Otherwise, you're either going to just be a really nice group of people or you're going to go and blow and start things and maybe
leave destruction in your wake. Listen, this has been fun. So if you want more information, we're going to leave some information in the show notes where you can get this particular instrument and work through it, and we'll show you how. But thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.